start the recording. Okay, now, here we go. Demi, you may proceed.
Okay, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. I was basically born around, exactly almost 1500, 1502, 1503, whatever, somewhere in that time. My character is Halvdan Bergdahl, or however you actually say it on Swedish. He's Swedish born, that is.
Halvdan Bergdahl.
I don't think it's Bergdahl. Pretty sure.
It's Halvdan Bergdahl.
Good, okay, that's good enough then.
You don't actually say the H there, it's just implied.
Okay then. Anyways, I was born in basically a sort of rural part of Sweden, with my father being a sort of a lumberjack, Sweden fucking thing, and with my mother actually being a big inspiration for my character. She was a person whose family usually done with, performing. Sort of she knew how to play the lute, and she also knew a lot of stories that she constantly told me
in medieval times, though, keep in mind that a lot of troubadours and the like, it wasn't necessarily a profession that was open to women. In fact, that was extremely rare, I believe. All kinds of theater stuff was almost exclusively men as well, so how does that fit in?
That was partly mostly around England and France. I'm not sure how that was in Sweden, but probably so.
I'm just going with that. My mother, just from her own, family from long ago, just knew a lot of tales and knew how to play.
So it was more of her telling you about how that side of the family was like, not necessarily being involved herself.
Oh yeah, she a lot of oracle tradition just basically fell onto her. Is basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
Through generation, which is actually the most usual means of how I believe it was happened in Sweden up there. So from a young age, I basically grew up with that, learning about hearing these oral traditions, myths, legends of what had happened in the old times, of course in modern times closer. And it sort of became a big inspiration for my character. Of course, however, being a single child in this family, I had to, of course, still help my father, and I helped him with the lumberjack.
If you were a single child, then that, in those times, needs a good explanation. Was it plague? Was your father... Did you just lose your mother, and did your father never remarry? Because, essentially, families were big back then.
Mm-hmm. It was big to always be marrying, having a wife, etc. Mostly because people kept dying.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, you needed children to work on the fields.
Fair enough. I mean, I could just change it a little bit and say I did have some brothers and sisters. That's not big of a problem.
Or you could just say that the plague swept them off, and you did not want to die in the fields without ever having experienced the world or made more tales, so you went out on your own there. Easy. It's a good motivating point.
I mean, yeah, that works. That works.
Though I would prefer if you picked a token so we could visualize something for...
I did it. Please, just wait 1 second. Let me just put it in. I try to find the best picture, but this is sort of the closest that I can get to.
Jackalord? Really, Jackalord?
What?
Does this work?
What?
I think it does.
Were you old when you got embraced then?
I was pretty old at that point.
This is how he spells Jackalore in his sheet.
I know, I noticed.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Fucking cunt.
I did not intend that.
Uh-huh!
I fucking swear I did not intend that.
While we're off track for a moment, wanna give us Halvdan's control over his sheet so we can see stuff?
There's only one sheet. I haven't really made us copies, so just...
We know that. That's on...
There you go. Once we start working on that, yes, you can. You can start poking and prodding and helping him.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did he do after leaving home? Since your mortal life is so long, it's obviously a big chunk of your mindset.
Right, so I wasn't ever invested in my father's actual work, since I was inspired mostly by my, mother, tales and whatnot. I, developed a sense of wanderlust. So I became more of a sort of nomad going around. And I learned how to play the lute from her. So I basically just ended up being a sort of traveling musician of sorts, right? Going around just basically in taverns, having fun, getting some money on the side, learning about, just people in general, and also hearing about, just talking with more people and learning more about, the world around me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that for quite a while, right? Going around Sweden, Norway, Denmark in general, just going around, since it was kind of all unified under the Kalmar Union. However, that's basically was my entire, mortal life. I never really settled down with a single woman with my consistent wanderlust. I always had sort of lovers on the side, but never really settled with one.
Dude, you were a little better than a tramp, I think, status-wise. Everyone in the local village were like, don't talk to that man. He is a bad man. You need to keep your virtue, little girl.
God damn it.
I mean, seriously, you are a lecherous fucker. You are the very worst. Like, from their point of view, bards like you are why they need to keep their daughters safe and locked away at night.
That's why I come and serenade under your window.
You would have had the dogs set on you several times if that's the case.
Probably. Also, seeing as I did state I go into taverns a lot and whatnot, you'd probably just assume that my character would be occasionally going into, of course, some certain brawls, whatnot, and certain brawls, disarguments, and just that in general, just bar fights. So I basically had to also adapt to that sort of style of life.
I actually have a question. So in those times, Sweden didn't have a lot of population, and there were the occasional wars. Did you ever get drafted, or?
I was going to get to that, actually. I was thinking of actually getting drafted into the war, the big one, where Sweden actually tried to leave the Kalmar Union, that one big war.
Ah.
That's like, oh my god, it's ancient fucking history. It's 1400.
No, isn't that? I'm talking about. I'm reading on Wikipedia right now. 1523.
1523. So you would have been drafted. Would that have been before or after you left home?
That would be after I left home.
Ah. Did you volunteer or did you get grabbed?
I didn't really I actually volunteered. I would have volunteered for that, for the simple sake of, I wanted to experience this. There's been a lot of, epics, tales and whatnot, of course, about war related, and I actually wanted to sort of feel what war was all about, actually.
Okay.
And since I already also made a lot of friends who also probably volunteered or got forcefully grabbed into it, I would have went into sort of as a moral support. Since I probably did that a lot with my loot, I tried to probably hold the morale up heavily in the army.
Uh-huh. How did that change your character when you saw those friends start to die? A whole lot of them, in fact.
It showed me that war wasn't as much as I expected. The epics and tales that I learned were much more fantasy-like than I thought it would have been. It wasn't as what my character would have expected fully. So I guess he would have been a little bit sort of disappointed and sort of lost at that point.
Disillusioned with the world.
Yeah. However, sort of his wanderlust, that actually put him on another thing, is that these sort of a much more studious style. Like, he still had the terrors of war happen on him. But at the same time, seeing all these tales, he was still fascinated with them, right? Mm-hmm. But they all had to come from
solace in them.
Yeah.
It's what helped him through all of it.
But at the same time, seeing as he was sort of disillusioned by the actual, tales and whatnot, he sort of had a sort of thinking that he wanted to come to the root. Like, where did they actually start from? Why is it actually so fantasy? Like, were there changes? Was it actually much more bloodier than it was told to be, but changed so that people could revel in them more, right? So after, fighting a bit, surviving a little bit, I guess I sort of became wanderlust again, and not wanting to be in the army, so I deserted it.
Yeah.
I deserted.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
However, I was able to pass relatively easily from the desertion, seeing as I made a lot of friends, which helped me because they saw in me and they knew me and they wanted me. I wasn't a guy made for war. I was a guy meant to talk about war.
I'm not sure they would have let you go that easily, because if they're seeing others dying, they would have seen it as a betrayal, I think, of the ones that had already died.
Yeah,
If
it's
he had
desertion all the time.
If he hadn't enough friends, and I mean like really close friends, they might have looked the other way when his desertion came up.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have been a general kind of feeling. It would have been a very personal kind of deal.
Some people would have probably helped you get away at that point, but I do not think that you would have had an easy time avoiding them. You would have had to essentially go away from the places you used to frequent or that your friends knew about and be worried about running into one of them, because you can't have people know that you're a deserter, because that's a big no-no. So you would have been... I mean, this doesn't change your story that much, other than it adds a note of you being a truly shady fucking traveling bard, because you're also a deserter and had to hide that.
Yeah, fair. I guess that it would come into a point of this time that if I actually was a deserter and didn't really want to show my face anymore, would that actually be a good reason to actually, go live solo in the wild a little bit?
For a little while, it could make sense.
Yeah, you probably would have spent a little while there and would have potentially picked up an appreciation for that, and throughout your life, whenever things got nasty, went out into the wild again. And that could lead to how you met your sire, but...
Yeah, that's actually how I actually felt it. I was... if I wanted to continue with just the story for a second, I was actually going to think, like, as I was living alone and whatnot, one day I was sort of caught in a sort of blizzard, lost in the wild totally, and basically my sire would have come trying to save me, embrace me at that point, telling me just the basics of what it is to be a vampire, told me a little bit about, some actual gang lore, and then basically just sent me off on a quest to learn myself. That he could tell me all the tales he knew right there, but that's not the point of learning about that. It's more of a go out and learn for yourself.
It wouldn't even necessarily have been that much of a thing. If it was a traditionally minded gangrel, and I think you want one, it would have been more of a case of them embracing you and telling you that you're not essentially a gangrel yet, but you can become one if you can prove that you can survive on your own. Giving you the basics of, like, stay out of the sun, drink blood, and then letting you on your own to see if you can survive. But it would have been very Darwinian.
Yeah. I actually, if that is the type of gangrel, I'm not sure having him almost die in a blizzard for the first meeting would make a whole ton of sense in that case.
If the gangrel had been watching him for a few weeks living in the wild and surviving until a completely freak blizzard shows up, that's how I'm intending it on the sire side. He would have been watching him for a while.
Okay. I was actually totally referring to just literally meeting a guy in a blizzard.
Yeah, no.
But if he was watching for a few weeks, yeah, totally.
I mean, isn't that what gangrels usually do, actually? They actually kind of stalk the person they want to embrace a little bit?
That's normal vampire procedure. Beating over the head and turning someone you just met is not a common occurrence. Children are a huge investment of time, energy, and potential personal danger, so people make sure they're worth it.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Excluding dumbass player characters and young, stupid fledglings.
Well, I was going to point out Jyhad in modern day as well as Malkavians for all time. They both often have
Malkavians have a
random-
higher logic because they might be subconsciously following the will of the Madness Network.
Totally.
Yeah.
But they are known for just seemingly randomly getting childs, sometimes staying with them, sometimes dropping them. Malkavians are just all over the place.
Yeah, if your backstory had gone differently, I might have given you Malkavian time or essentially the favor of the Madness Network. The network liking you and Malkavians being more subconsciously helpfully disposed towards you, Epic, as your thing.
Nah, not particularly.
Yeah, it didn't make sense, but that was a possibility I was considering going in.
Okay. But yeah.
Okay, so after the war, you just spent your life traveling and trying to learn more about culture, essentially.
Yeah, basically. Especially after the Embrace, I think I would have actually started. I might have actually, if there probably was in Sweden actually some gangrels that are actually did the proper offense.
We'll go through this chronologically, Demi. You're rushing too far, and on occasion going into a bit too much, a bit more detail than is necessary. So, okay, that brings us up to your Embrace. So you just got embraced, you are on your own, the wind is howling, you don't know how long it is till dawn, and you've just been told you're now a blood-sucking fiend, and you can't feel your heartbeat anymore. What do you do?
Yeah.
I would have definitely be shocked, surprised. Probably finding solace in one of the tales as before, trying to possibly go through the tales, see if this sort of occurrence was actually happened before. Like, in one of the stories that I learned, was it there actually, some blood-sucking fiend actually, mentioned anywhere? Since I did also said before, I wanted to be a little bit more studious with the things, I probably would have done that, while also staying in my solitude house.
Going on for way too long over a single thing. You could have said that in one sentence.
Bruh.
I'm sorry, but yeah. Okay, you probably could have come across remembered something about ancient Greek myths about Lamia or something, since you had a full life of studying at that point. But yeah, you would have still been left at the end of the day of what to do next. How would you have proceeded after realizing that shit time is dragging on? Dawn will be coming.
I would also interject just slightly here. So, because he's a fairly learned individual and stuff, those stories and stuff almost never put the monsters in any kind of decent light, so he's probably horrified at what he's become.
That too.
Fair point. As I said, I'd probably be shocked, and I have to sort of find out if I wanted to, if I just lived there for a second after details and whatnot, I probably would have just stayed there and tried to learn what I am right now. I was only told
your sire would have. You essentially would have had 15 minutes with your sire with him telling you the basics. And
yeah, but I wanted that was just telling me, and I wanted to sort of do with my own experience, learn, repeat what he told me, see if what it's true, what's not, and sort of live there by myself at least, and sort of hunt animals, I guess, if I wanted to get the blood and whatnot. Just learn about myself.
So that sounds like you're a very indecisive individual, at least at first, or at that point in your life. And that sounds to be like you learned very quickly that sometimes the tales take a second seat to finding shelter from the sun, as you would have gotten singed towards the dawn. Because, in all honesty, it sounds to me like you would have been experimenting there and realized, oh crap, I need to get some sort of shelter because the sky is starting to get lighter.
Sounds almost like he's had a couple of close calls, actually, from his general stuff so far.
I mean, at the very least on that first night, he would have woken up with 2 points of ag from some sun making into his makeshift shelter.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, how would he So you would have stayed experimenting and the like. How would he have felt about having actually been burnt and not even feeling it till he woke?
Once again, shocked, just scared even a little bit actually.
Okay.
It's just like there's like one moment I'm walking around, traveling, and now at one point I can't even get on this. Like I'm just getting burned for the sun. Even it's just like such a drastic change.
Yeah.
To the lifestyle.
Sounds to me like you would have been living from moment to moment for the first couple of months, if not first couple of years after your embrace.
Yeah, trying to get my bearings, basically.
Well, eventually, sounds like to me like you would have had enough skills to find a way to survive, and eventually your sire would have returned to find you still alive and would have reclaimed you. And at that point, you would have been in position to start learning more about your new existence and learning the tales of the Gangrel clan.
Yeah, I would have probably go on the alt things and whatnot, finally go back into civilization after a long time, actually, and re-civilize myself, sort of.
How would you have felt about actually falling to frenzy, probably due to, needing to hunt animals and having a tough time getting blood, and seeing yourself get more animalistic each time you did that?
I definitely would have felt much more monstrous. Not in the sense of actually becoming sort of evil monstrous, just as Epic said a little while ago, monsters were never really well represented. I would have felt that I'm slowly becoming one of them, and I tried my hardest to not try and become one of them, sort of retain myself.
Okay. That sounds to me like you would not necessarily have started out with a lot of self-control, because you're a randy goat, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was just a fucking traveling musician. I'm just living the moment.
Okay. So, how long would you have spent in Sweden? Traveling, learning, etc.?
Well, in Sweden itself, I'd probably go
Or
around...
in the old world, how long would you have... You may keep going with your epic saga now that we know how you turn. How long would you have spent with your sire, essentially? What did that period of your life look like?
I'm trying to get it, time-wise. I think in the old world in general, I would have been around for 100 years, right? Finishing up my travels in Scandinavia, finishing up learning about everything of the camp from the Gangrel, since I probably would have learned that this is probably like the main hub where a lot of gangrels are. This is like one place.
Mm-hmm. You would have certainly seen the rise of the Sabbat and fuckers like those rolling into Scandinavia at some point, I think.
Yeah, I would have, my character would have been opposed to the Sabbat. They're brutes, nothing, they're just evil, they're just bad. I wouldn't tolerate them at all.
So you wouldn't have considered switching to the path of harmony?
Doubt it.
Because your sire would probably have been on that, and he would have encouraged you to embrace that animal side of you.
Yeah, as I stated before, I would try to stay away from my animal side as much as possible.
Okay, so that would probably have led to you and your sire parting ways at some point, because you wanted to be close to humanity, and he was against that, and he would have just been like, young one, find me once you know better, in a few 100 years,
Yeah. And at that point, I'd just be roaming, as I said, across, I think, Europe in general.
Mm-hmm.
But probably if I had to stay in one place, I would have probably went with England. I'd probably stay in England for a while.
England, England is very...
It's very close to what I already know a lot here, and due to, the Celts before and the Normans, Norway attacking...
You would have gone south to learn more about the ancient myths of Lami and the like in the south?
All the way into Greek, I doubt I would go that far into Greece.
Okay. I think he's trying to avoid those stories from his initial stuff.
Oh, that makes perfectly fine sense. So, timeline-wise, you were born at...
Like, if we're actually going to go, I'd have to say probably
You said...
1480. I said 1500, right? But now that I think about it, reading up on Wikipedia when actually the Kalmar Union actually fucking dissolved, I'd have to go a bit older. So about 1480, I'd have to be
Okay,
about 40
write
years
that
old.
down. Just write down general notes like the others on the timeline. So, 1418 you were born, and about 50 years later you were turned 55.
Yeah.
So approximately 1530 you were turned. Then you would have spent what, like 50 years traveling through Sweden with your sire, making sure you had all the stories.
Yes. Well, Sweden, Denmark, and
Yeah,
Norway in general.
Scandinavia. So 1580 is when you head out for somewhere else from Scandinavia and part ways with your sire. And at this point, the Camarilla is well established, and you are a respected member of the sect, supposedly, and their glorious masquerade.
Yeah, I would have respected the masquerade.
Yeah, so you would have... Actually, it makes sense if you wanted to stay close to humanity to travel sometime among the courts of Europe, maybe even, to learn about this new way of coexisting with mortals. And how to pass in their society, how to be a part of their world.
Yeah, that actually makes... Yeah. That sounds good.
That means our characters can totally actually meet while mine's going around there as well.
Yeah, there's a good chance you might have run into the Mal girl, at least seen her from afar. You are in the same area. You left at... you left in 1600s for the New World, so you would have had 10, 15 years while you were moving around the same courts, Demi.
Sweet.
How long would you have stayed there?
With the courts, you mean?
Yeah, in Europe, that is.
In Europe. I was actually thinking, but this actually might be getting too long, but I'm not sure how active my lifestyle is right now because I'm mostly just traveling and just learning, not actually, being too active, just going around places. So I was thinking on my mind, like maybe 100 years in Europe, just roaming around, just learning England, France, Germany in general, eastern parts. And then make my way for the New World, since it's getting actually a bit more established.
Yeah, and you would have heard about ancient Gangrel there as well, and potentially they might have stories that no one's ever heard of, so that could be a good motivation for you to move over.
Yeah, I have two reasons. That, and since I'm already having Wanderlust is one of the things that I have, I just would have just gone there to see what this new place is, first of all. I've already seen a lot of Europe.
Okay, so at about the start of 1700s when you would have made your way over, approximately.
Yeah, 1700s, yeah.
How does that line up with Jackalor's thing? Is that when you are moving... When were you roaming around the New World?
When did he say he was... When did he say?
He moved over somewhere around the turn of the... somewhere at the start of the 18th century, little before.
I started in 1730 in, Canada, and in 1750 I was a long-range agent. I think. 1750 is what's in here.
Wait, those times are... I wanted the independent agent and the long-range agent to be potentially a little longer.
Oh, so...
But we can say that you became a regent at the turn of 1800 or so, and just extend those two. Well, extend the independent near your sire part maybe a bit. Because 20 years is a bit short for that, given that he would have wanted to keep a hold of you for as long as possible. So just shrink the regency to 1800 and extend the independent part and shift over the long-range part a bit. So, essentially, yeah. About 30-40 years after you showed up in the New World, you might have run into Jackalore. Essentially traveling around there as an agent. Which gives us another potential place where people could have met.
Yay.
And certainly the Malk girl was traveling around there as well by then, and potentially running into Jackalore and Demi as well.
Malgirl could end up meeting about wherever. She's really just going wherever she thinks people need help that isn't dangerous for her.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. I mean, mostly that's for next time, but it's good to just fix in our minds that, you know. Okay, so about the, say, 1690 is when you travel to the New World, just to give it a year, Demi.
Yeah, sure, I'll put that in.
And then you are traveling the New World, mostly focusing on actually finding the old gangrel that were already out there, so you won't be that involved in local courts until later. And then you potentially might meet, you know, go back to towns again after finding whatever gangrel haven't been eradicated or gone to ground from the old ones.
Just looking, I'd probably have to, like, I mean, this might be a little skip, but I'm going to have to put a torpor somewhere here, right? Or I'm going to be else too old and too active at this point, right?
You are very passive, so I'm willing to let it pass. Mostly you're just, you know, traveling around and avoiding conflict, from what I understand.
yeah, you're following my Malkavian steps so far. Fairly active, but in a pretty passive way.
Yeah. You're even more or less the same age as Vivian, so
Yep.
it's fine, Demi. You don't have to put in. You can put in a stint in torpor if you say that you grow weary of the world and not finding new things, but it's up to you.
I was actually going to use that more. Actually, why I'm actually here in New Orleans now, sort of settling down a little bit, you know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, given how the civilization expanded in those times, from what little I know of it, you probably wouldn't have spent more than a century looking for the old gangrel before there wasn't really much point. From namely the ones that were already there, and at that point you could have either gone to ground or, I don't know. It's up to you, but I feel like you probably would have rejoined the cities and the European gangrel to learn what stories they have come up with and what things have happened while, they have been establishing the new civilization, and you could have easily visited New Orleans before it fell.
It actually would make sense to do what you just said, because I already kind of did the same in Europe, so let's just do it again.
Yeah. So
traveling around for 100 years and then go back into some court life.
So you can just put like 70-80 approximately start, and just put approximately 1780, and say that that's when you started slowly showing up in cities more and more once again.
Okay.
So given that you were in England and France, I think all three of you so far would share Old French as a language.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense to me, and if you want to use that to confuse neonates, you may, to your heart content. You can go nuts with that. Have at it.
Language is...
We will... yeah, languages that you share we'll write down next session, I think, when we finalize how you've interacted with each other. But Spanish, French, English, the old versions of them at least, you all probably have at least some of from colonial times. So, yeah, you can find ways to communicate. Okay. So you start showing up in cities and you travel around, and then eventually you come back at the invitation of the Tremere you've met at one point to work on retaking the city from the Sabbat, which we have already established you really dislike.
Mm-hmm.
Which more or less gives us a pretty accurate idea of your timeline. And that means we can switch over to working on your dots, I believe. So, in terms of your nature and demeanor, because you haven't picked yours out yet.
Yeah, when I basically just went through the entire character. I'm a passive guy who's studious and.
It sounds to me like you're a bon vivant,
Bon
actually.
vivant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't give a fuck about all the petty politicking, you just enjoy what you enjoy and you enjoy it to the fullest. Demeanor might be more of a traditionalist, as far as your clan traditions are concerned.
Yeah, I think at least my own clanmates might probably see me as a traditionalist, then that might just spread to other people that I'm a traditionalist guy.
In terms of your free background dots, I'm almost certain they're all gonna go into clan status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're totally going there.
So the two local gangrel are gonna be like, yes, glorious elder, Allahu Akbar!
Better have less friends that are loyal than have more friends that are not loyal. Hey?
But elder, couldn't you speak to the prince about my embrace rights after all?
Don't worry, I will speak to him in Old French.
I mean, you're assuming that Bacon will know Old French. He might not.
Don't worry, he will know.
Okay.
Okay. So, here's another question.
Actually...
Yeah, continue.
Oh, my bad.
No, you can go, Epic.
Oh, I was actually just going to check. So my character is going to be spending quite a bit of time and not necessarily caring about nationality or anything in the Americas. Would she gain any other languages while just going around basically all over there?
Like I said, we'll discuss that in more detail in the next session, because that's when we determine what specific paths you took and how you interacted. That's specifically for essentially what your shared history is like. This is just the basics of the character and mortal lives.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, next session is when we determine how you all interconnect in great detail. So we know what kind of events you have shared, what makes you trust or distrust or be willing to work together with each other, what essentially all the shit you've gone together in ones, in twos, threes, fours, essentially. Why you know each other and why you all are willing to work together.
Alright.
Because we will have an intricate web of interconnections between you guys, but that's for next session. That's why we have 2 prep sessions, because it's a lot of material to cover, it being an Elder game.
Alright. Back to Demi.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Make sure to write down player as treacherous kebab.
Lol.
Don't tempt me.
I mean, you are the cheater. You are always the cheater, Epic.
Cheater.
Into the NI go.
Into the I go! Demi, fuck you. If you... How do you feel about Tremere as a clan, actually? Let's establish that.
Yeah.
I mean, they possess great knowledge. I think I'd be pretty respectable of that.
You would have
Although
heard
they have
countless...
these weird rumors.
He would have heard stories from eyewitnesses with how much he has traveled about people captured and turned into gargoyles. He would know the atrocities. You would know.
I guess this could be. I respect them on one hand, but on the other hand, it's more of like, don't.
They sound
sense.
every bit as bad as the Sabbat, as the Zamitzi. You would know there's a Zamitzi bloodline that's every bit as monstrous, if more able to mask it.
Yep.
You would know. You might be in this alliance despite Jackalor, not because of him.
Yeah.
You might be here to keep him in check. I'm just saying, he has a gargoyle. That might have been a gangrel once, for all you know.
And that gangrel could have known a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, from what I can tell, you're not actually pursuing knowledge. You're seeking stories, particularly. And I hate to say this, but though the Tremere have a lot of knowledge, I'm not sure you'd respect that kind of knowledge.
So if you
Yeah,
hit
you
this
probably-
paint center, the gangrel will scream the loudest. It seems like their nerves drift slightly in the course of the embrace. It's a most curious thing and a most curious line of study. Would you care to try?
But yeah, don't let us just tell you how you probably should be. Just tell us what you probably would be.
Yeah.
Well,
We are
just pointing
essentially a bullshit filter on some of your ideas, and we're here to offer suggestions, but it's definitely your character. Build it how you want it to be. We're just pointing out what makes sense.
I mean, I'm trying to make a character that, you know, doesn't really, like, besides the Sabbat, doesn't really hate anybody else, you know? It's just pretty open.
Can your character not hate the Tremere for the crimes they have committed against not just your clan, but many clans?
You know,
Yeah, you
probably
are
had some-
old enough and you are close enough to know about how their clan came to be in detail. Gangrel might have fled northwards from what the Tremere were doing, some of them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, yeah.
it's
It does
you
make
are
sense
the
for
kind
me to
of
despise it.
elder that's like a young Tremere meets an elder on the road. There's a tense confrontation. The elder walks away from the pile of ash.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
saying
like
this
this.
has to have happened, but it could easily be part of your background that you did at some point kill a Tremere that was a bit too monstrous for your taste in the wilds where no one could stop you.
Actually, yeah, it actually makes a good sense. I did say a while ago I didn't want to become a monster, and if I kill a monster, I'm basically also trying to avoid. I guess that would be sort of inside self mechanism defense to avoid myself becoming a
Yeah,
monster. Like,
you might
a
think
monster.
that the Tremere nowadays have gotten a bit more under control and that they as a clan are improving and becoming more civilized. But your thoughts of how they started out would, well, there's a good chance that you think they started out as monsters.
Fairly horrible ones at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My character probably is also quite aware of what the Tremere are and everything, but she wasn't like on the front lines of, you know, any of it. So she can forgive individuals really easily, and won't like hold it really against any Tremere she meets.
I need to make a list of known Diablerists in the city, because there are a few after the siege. I think I included at least 3 or 4. Because the, like, I don't want Bacon to have been in charge from the start. Someone else was probably leading the war party, which is why there are domains that you didn't necessarily approve already. Well, 2 of them, because that's essentially the old leadership having approved them. And them being difficult to remove now.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's what you want to go with, Demi?
Yeah. I'd eventually grow sort of not friendly with the Tremere probably, but just okay on a neutral relation. So.
Yeah, we can just say that, like, you know, your sire was pretty much a beast in a certain way, right? So you might just be judging them on individual basis and just starting with the assumption that he's probably an asshole, and having killed one or two that were assholes when you found out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the best way to go about it. Because I don't think your character is necessarily the kind to prejudge a whole clan, but just be very unsuspicious of a whole clan, you know? And then judge the individual.
Like, stereotypes exist for a reason, but not everyone's a stereotype sort of thing, right?
I mean, then there's Jackalore!
Look, we'll come across that bridge when we get to it next session.
Yeah, well, okay, let's get to Demi's thoughts. Based on your backstory, it sounds to me like social would be primary and physical secondary. But that's
Yeah,
me.
I was thinking that as well. I was thinking going social, physical, and then mental.
Yeah. So, how do you wish to assign your dots, you Randy old
So-
goat?
Yeah.
I will say the opposite could have also been it as well. He could have been a mental, physical, social. Yeah, I could see it going either way.
Demi, I will let you pick up a secondary skill for composing tales and stories and songs.
Yeah.
That will tie into your performance and will just... You can roll that instead of performance to compose at like -2 difficulty. How about that?
Yeah, I'd actually like that. That would be fucking nice.
Yeah, you would not be able to take it to a higher level than you have your performance though. But
I know.
it would be a secondary skill, and thus it would be 2 for the first level and 1 times current value for building it up, because it ties into your performance essentially.
Just a question. I did ask a little bit before this, but this actually might be a good time as well. The game world lore part, would that be academics or occult secondary skill?
Probably occult. You can go either way. Whichever is higher, you can tie it into that.
I mean, I'm probably gonna go with occult. Occult itself has the specialty, kindred lore, so it just makes sense just to have that as off branch of the game world
Yeah,
lore.
you would probably know almost as much as Jackalore or various occult crap, because you have been traveling your whole life and learning, even if you don't have access to libraries. So you would just have a specialty like myths in occult, probably. So you would, yeah, I think that fits best as you just having a wide knowledge of all the supernaturals, but not necessarily being that accurate, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's best. So, yes, you may start
So-
assigning.
Okay, so socially, I believe out of all the three that probably charisma fits me the most. Is like I'm the strongest in charisma.
Yeah, you can just take that to 6 if you want.
I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure if I want to up the manipulation as well. Like, I'm not like I was in my mortal life, a little bit of a sort of, as we just talked about, lecturing going around. So I probably, had a little bit of manipulation myself. And to be honest, I'm not sure about appearance. I mean, I'm mostly a traveler. I'm not really sure how people.
Yes,
would
but
see
you
it.
know how to present yourself, and body language is a part of that. Even though you are old and to some extent a worn-out old goat at that point, I'd say you would end up with at least 2 points of appearance when all of character creation is done. But that doesn't have to be assigned right now. You can assign it with experience.
I guess my appearance would be probably get up with experience.
Yeah,
just to
you
present
can do
myself
that.
better.
So you can assign the charisma and manipulation first.
I think I'm gonna go with the 5 charisma and actually 1, 2, 3, 4.
You have 7 total. You can
Yep.
take it to 6 to just max what you have. The Embrace could have easily enhanced a lifetime of charisma and took it to 6. The others took some skills to 6. You can do so as well.
I'm just thinking like for my character for a second. I believe I would be much more charismatic than manipulative, and only manipulative when I really need to be manipulative.
Does
Besides
your
that,
character... Here's a question. Would your character ever have committed diablerie?
would my character have ever committed diablerie?
Probably.
That's a good question, actually.
I
Actually,
doubt it, actually.
No, I actually doubt it. Yeah, we did already
Yeah,
confirm.
actually,
I
yeah,
didn't
you're
want to
probably
become a
right.
monster, and Diablerie. I probably heard what the side
Yeah.
effects of Diablerie can
Yeah.
be, so I'd probably avoid Diablerie.
Yeah, before the option came up for you, I think you would have already heard about what it could do to you.
Yeah.
You probably didn't want to take even that chance. So,
Yeah. Essentially, I would say that given how much time you would have had to interact with the others, it could easily be a possibility that they could have taught you one of their disciplines, and you certainly could have picked one up along the way as an out of clan thing. So if you any common discipline, if you want, take it as out of clan, is certainly up for grabs. You can easily have presence, for example, because, well, either from Bacon or someone else, because France is Toreador land.
If I would take presence, I'm pretty sure the only level of presence I would have really wanted was awe. But even then, I feel like I would have focused on my in-clan disciplines most.
Well, yes, but charisma ties into presence too as well.
Yeah.
So if you take the first 2 levels of that, it gives you an additional option for avoiding conflict, and it helps enhance your performances.
Yeah, it does. And seeing as since I'm already a passive person who doesn't really want to go into conflict that much, avoiding conflict by just scaring the shit out of them is a viable way.
Yeah. Well, let's handle the extra disciplines when we get to the XP, okay?
Yeah. So physical. I probably travel a lot, so I'd have to say that stamina would probably be my bread and butter here.
So 4 stamina and 2 in strength and dex?
Yep. I think that is actually the most viable.
The 2 Sabat Gangrel 13 gens just go bitch, shoot you in the head. Now I'll get the claws. Oh, you mean these claws? Come and get me, bitch!
And in mental, I feel I could have a solid 2 on all of them. And
That's
probably
perfectly
upping
legit.
my intelligence and wits with experience.
Sure.
If you're gonna up both of them, it might be better to leave one of them empty and up the other to 3 with the free points. Because
it would.
Yeah, it would, but I'm not sure, that is a little bit, XP playing.
Totally. I do it all the time.
I know you do, you piece of shit.
I mean, you didn't do it that bad this time because we were going through it together, but a little bit of it is okay if you can justify it. You went out on your own for
You volunteered for the army. I don't think you have much in wits.
I mean, no, I actually think wits is surviving in the moment. Intelligence is thinking ahead. So I was thinking wits, he would have had at 3 and intelligence at 1.
Totally.
And have the perception at 2 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that works. So, abilities, which is primary?
I believe the primary would be, I think it will go talents, knowledge, skills.
Okay.
At least in what I believe.
Then
Each
let
of
us
us have
start.
had that, I think.
I know, right?
But, well, that's because it's the best pick, obviously.
It is and isn't at the same time. Isn't it amazing how they put the list of skills just right for that kind of thing?
So going mostly with talents because a lot of the social things are in there, and I'm pretty social myself.
Yes, start
knowledge,
adding them in.
definitely high expression, definitely. Probably 2 in empathy, 2 in subterfuge.
I'm not sure. I think empathy might be higher, because performance would
Yeah.
usually be... I mean, it can go either way. Expression and performance. It's depending on how you are pitching the tale-telling.
Totally.
So, yeah, leave it at 3.
I
It makes
thought-
sense,
I thought-
actually.
I thought that would actually be from expression, not empathy, but
I mean,
You know,
empathy...
Expression. Yeah. Expression is putting it into very nice words, particularly.
Yeah.
Empathy is affecting them on a more emotional level.
That, and
And-
from the way you described your character, he's not a cunt. He does have a lot of empathy.
Okay.
So,
Unlike Jack, who tried to take 3 points of empathy, and we were like, no.
Besides that, probably to an alertness. I did try and survive for a long time myself, and also trying to pick things up here and there. So I believe I'd have some alertness.
you can take 2, and you could easily justify 3 as well. Because you spent a whole mortal life. It's like you died of old age and then came back to life as a vampire, unlike the others.
Yep.
You have had a full life, essentially.
Not like mine at all.
Hey, listen, you little pirate toy.
And with the remaining 2, I
Brawl.
feel...
Probably.
I
Or
know I want to
athletics.
think. I was thinking athletics since I was on the move a lot, and I, probably like some
Yeah,
of it as well.
this is iffy because, yeah,
Brawl. No, Brawl. Brawl fits most of his character stuff in general.
yeah. You did
Yeah.
say you got in a lot of fights. I might
Why does he
say
not
that
pick
it would
athletics?
fit better to take a dot of alertness and a dot of subterfuge and put it into athletics. Honestly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a little better.
okay. Next, knowledges.
Next, so I'm actually, yeah, I think I'd go knowledges, and then skills, I'd probably get that with experience, especially things like survival, stealth, and with the starting with your
Yeah,
performance.
Because those you would have picked up essentially after. Well, some of your experience would come as part of your mortal life. You're too old for it to line up effectively with the others. A bigger chunk of your pre-story is your mortal life.
So knowledges, I have 9 points. I feel like, so,
Well, actually, if we are going strictly by what you would have as part of up to your turning, skills do make more sense. Because you had both performance and survival and crap like that as part of getting to the point of being turned.
fair.
Like, essentially, freebies and the starting points account for you getting turned and your first 10-15 years as a vampire, or in your case until you got turned, Demi, because you're so old as a mortal.
Alright, never mind. He's being more like Jack than me if he's going with skills.
It's up to you,
So
but
it
I
makes a
think
lot
that,
of sense for what his backstory was.
yeah.
I do think skills would fit better. So, 3 in survival, that seems like the best.
Honestly, I would say 2 in
3
survival, 2 in
performance.
stealth, 2 in
2 yeah.
melee, and 3 in performance.
You guys kind of, intertwined.
Melee,
Sorry, we were saying the exact same thing.
melee, stealth, and survival to 2 and performance to 3 makes sense to me. Because that was more of a side thing, and performance was the one that you were doing the whole time.
Yeah.
Actually, I would say probably taking away a dot of melee and putting in animal ken instead.
He was in the army
like he
for
got-
a good while, though.
Yeah, he was.
And that was a lot of melee at the time. Maybe 1 less stealth if you want animal ken to start with.
I think it makes some sense with how much he was kind of
Yeah, I
enjoying
don't think
nature.
I would
But
have
then
been
again,
that too stealthy, actually.
You convinced the barmaids to come to you.
makes more sense than the other way.
Oh, hello,
Yeah,
little
well,
girl.
yeah.
What are you doing in here?
I'll just keep it like this, and
Sure.
with experience. Or I could even actually use freebies on it to actually better
Okay,
flesh it out.
knowledges.
It's up to you.
Knowledges. So if we're going with that, I'm not sure if I want to actually do the occult with the XP or.
You probably, as much as you had traveled, you might have 1, maybe 2 occult, but you probably had 3 in academics.
That's definitely the academics. So 1, 2, 3. I'll go with 1 occult and possibly 1 in politics. I probably got a lot of views.
You didn't sound like you were in politics
Yeah.
at all.
And we are
Yeah.
using
Not-
that
not
as
really.
more of kindred politics anyway. That would have been something you acquired in the New World later on, I would say.
I was actually thinking possibly investigation, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that too.
Actually,
Maybe.
investigation and trying to actually, seek things out for those things.
Yeah,
And I want to.
that's what I was thinking of.
Are any of you able to drive yet?
Nope.
True elder characters, the way it's meant to be played.
Right.
Okay,
So, that's that. Let me just put the disciplines.
I'm doing that already.
Thank you.
So, one in each.
Yep.
And then freebies. These can go into more vampy things as well, of course.
Yeah, actually, wait a second. Shouldn't I do the back? Actually, we're doing backgrounds next time, right?
And no, we're doing them
We're doing
this-
backgrounds now.
Yes, but that's at the end. You can set some freebies aside for backgrounds at this point, and then we'll do them after experience is applied and we know exactly what your character is like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just thinking.
Next time we're going into detail on our backstories with each other.
Yes, exactly.
I'm thinking. Yeah, you could actually up virtues with experience, right?
You
Yes.
can, and you should assign them now, because it sounds to me
You know.
like you had a
wanna
self-control
gain
of
something.
maybe 2?
Mm-hmm.
And-
And upped it probably
Yeah.
to maybe a 4.
Yeah, so you could have had like a spread of 4 to 4 when you were turned, and up self-control to 4 as well, and have a flat 4 across everything.
Yeah, that's actually a fun fact. When I was actually making the care, I actually had a 4 for 4. So yeah, it actually fits well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that.
Just started off with low self-control, which matches Bon Vivant and everything too.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Actually,
experience,
here's... I think every elder should have a -1 on humanity. I might give Jackalor an extra -1 and an extra +1 resources, because he's such an asshole.
What did you say?
Are you willing to sacrifice 1 more point of humanity for 1 more point of resources, Jackalor?
It's my base humanity 5.
Yes.
Then yes.
So you would be at 3 with 4 resources. That fits perfectly. You are exactly
Wait,
what...
no, my base humanity is 5.
Your base is 5,
Yes.
but it's -1 by default, and you can take an extra -1 humanity because it fits your character for extra resources.
Yeah, my humanity's at 8, but it's a base of 9.
Yeah, everyone takes
Yeah.
at least -1 for long, for long life. But particularly assholish people might get the strong suggestion to trade out another point.
4 resources.
Which means that you are at least comfortable on money, which is a damn good thing.
Yeah. I guess I'm
Money?
saving some shield.
What's that? Eat money.
So, Demi,
I
Yeah.
can drink money, maybe.
I'm trying to see how many actually freebies I want to save for the background. So I have 10 normal.
you have 10 normal backgrounds and 1 free point of status, plus 3 extra backgrounds assigned by storyteller discretion based on backstory.
Yeah, I don't think I'd actually spend that much, freebies on backgrounds. Actually, I was thinking most of my backgrounds, of course, 5 going into generation and whatnot, and most probably going into a main. Since I'm going to try and settle down, I'm going to take as much as I can.
Well, we can take a look at what other things you want to buy with your freebies and see how much you can easily free up. And then maybe if there's something you really want, we can retcon. Because we need to keep this moving. We still have Bacon's entire thing to go through. So, 4 in self-control, I believe. Well, so that leaves 11 left. Given that it sounds like you have mellowed over the years, I would suggest like Calm Heart, I think it was called, for merits.
Yeah. I think that was that a 3-pointer in the book? Or a 2-pointer? I think references did it differently than the actual book.
It's a 3-point. It gives you 2 extra dice when attempting to resist frenzy. And it would fit you really well.
Mm-hmm.
There's also
I'm thinking...
willpower, which you might want to take.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it has... I want to say I feel like it has 7 willpower.
I think 7 is about right. 8 would be pushing it a bit, but you have been out in the wild places of the world for a lot of time. So, I'd say about 7 is right. Even if you're relatively passive.
My character was not in any kind of
know.
wilderness almost at any point in her life. She's been very pampered, even in her own life. So.
And your base humanity, counting the -1 from age, would be a 7. So.
What? No, wait, right there. So sweet. Besides.
No. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, because the freebie bought virtues count for base humanity.
Oh, they do?
They do.
Yeah.
Shit.
They've always have. Same for willpower. Stuff bought with experience doesn't. Yeah, note down the calm heart as the thing for freebie expenditures.
I feel like I should spend 2 points to get expression to 4. I think I probably have had a lot of expression.
I feel like, given how long you have been telling tales, you might want to take either ability aptitudes for both performance or expression, or just get a fuck ton of dice.
You do know this makes me super, sorry to intervene, super tempted to get Humanity 9, right?
Do it.
No, Epic, we already went through your entire thing. It's set up. There's no way. You were a spoiled child. 9 makes it. I'm not letting you have 10 with that backstory. You're not a fucking saint. No. I'm gonna veto that. No, it's too late and it doesn't make sense. You can't.
You said, okay, ability aptitudes. You said for both expression and empathy, or was it expression and performance?
Expression and performance, either or both make sense, but they will each cost 2 points. Or alternatively, you could try and take Enchanting Voice, and it wouldn't help you with playing instruments, but it would add to your voice-based things, where it's about being liked and...
Oh yeah, I actually forgot about Enchanting Voice. It actually fits me.
does.
Yeah, actually, instead of expression though, or performance.
I would
hard
suggest
part.
that you get either ability aptitudes for both, or just Enchanting Voice.
Yeah, Enchanting Voice.
Because
fits better.
I'm not gonna let you stack it over much, and you can have a special talent for this in one way, but we're trying to make characters that make sense. There's no way you're the best bard that ever lived. You can come close, but you're not the single best bard that ever lived. That's like Toreador herself.
Yep.
So yeah, Enchanting Voice was a 2-pointer, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so I have 12 freebies spent, and I have 3 more.
Yes, keep in mind you can also take up to 7 points of flaws. Does anyone have any to suggest?
Yeah,
Oh, let's go look.
Disfigured makes sense if you have, for example, a memento from when you fell to frenzy before you mastered your self-control. You could have just one permanent feature that's prominent enough to be problematic and that will never go away. Not even with centuries, apparently.
yeah. I'm just saying, what would I... yeah, I guess I also should probably check my spirit animal. Probably just a wolf. Maybe a bear.
Just checking some stuff on like the clans for Gangrel.
Yes,
something
you
that
check
might
them.
match is rat in a cage. It's a 2-point. You just whenever your pen physically restrained, you suffer acute anxiety. Difficulties of any rolls made under such circumstances are increased by 2.
Yeah, it does make sense with my nomadic lifestyle. Being held down is bad.
Vengeful doesn't really work, neither does obviously Short Fuse. Thirst for territorial. You want to establish a home for yourself at long last. You want to invest heavily into domain. Territorial could be a thing.
Could be. I feel that one's just a bit of a stretch with a recent territory. Unless he's had it for a long time, then definitely.
Not having for a long time, but it sounds like it's been a desire that has been growing in his heart, so to speak, for a while.
I just don't feel it would be until he's had it for a while. Once he's had it for a while, I can totally see it. I just don't think he's the type of guy that would immediately be too territorial. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could still be bloodbound to your sire, for example.
That is an impressively long blood bond. Huh,
Yeah.
wonder why that hasn't broke yet.
You could have an escaped target. Just like, grrr, that Malkavian was supposed to be mine!
He might have a dull bite with how much he's tried to struggle against his beast.
No,
what?
not with a 7th gen pure blood gangrel. I'd say not so much. That's extremely unlikely. The blood is still flowing through.
See,
Given how
I don't
much
see
you
any of
have
these physical
been,
too much.
given how much you have traveled around, you could have lucked into coming across a fanatical witch hunter that's still on your trail. Especially as Masquerade's pretty broken in this city right now.
Yeah.
Possibly. Let's see, other things. I know I was
What is
thinking
that?
of some just now. What was it?
Oh, actually, I found it. Yeah, I think I found a merit that actually fits me on desk.
What would it be?
Well-traveled. 2-pointer.
Oh, I know that.
I am going to look at it right now.
If I remember right, that's actually alright. Unless it's the other one I'm thinking of. But I'm pretty sure that one's, yeah. That's not open road.
Yeah.
That's open road. Okay. Well-traveled's just like a -2 to, you know,
Actually,
traveling
that's
around,
an
right?
extremely good point. Well-traveled not so much necessarily, though that would still apply. Maybe you might want to ditch Calm-Hearted and take both well-traveled and open road, because I can't believe I forgot about open road. That is literally you.
Yeah.
I don't
That is
remember
for you.
open road. What the fuck is open road?
You can travel while
page
avoiding the
496,
dangers,
yeah.
so you know, on the open road. You don't get ambushed
You
by
tend to-
lupines, and you essentially know how to travel safely on your own.
You've also tended over your travels to make small little mini havens. Or just know how to locate little spaces that would
Yeah.
suit the purpose.
You
of it.
know how to travel in the wild without getting fucked, essentially.
Yeah, that perfectly goes. So, open road, well-traveled, enchanting voice. It's 2-2, so...
Yes, it is. Which means that you have 2 points left, unless you take flaws. Do you want to take flaws?
No, he
you
has
don't
one.
have to.
Or freebies you're talking about.
Yeah, freebies. He traded
Okay.
out. He traded out Calm
Gamar.
Heart, which was 3. He went from
Oh,
total 5
well,
spent to
yeah.
total 6 spent.
Yeah.
I know that there's probably a goddamn flaw that fits me, but... I'm trying to wonder which one.
It's up to you. You can, if you're not going to be spending this on abilities, we can move on and you can pick it out if you think of it when we're assigning backgrounds.
Yeah, I'll just keep the rest of the freebies actually then for the backgrounds.
Okay. Then experience. And
boy.
I'm gonna open up the calculator and clear the last result. You may proceed. Let's start with disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
We all
being
know
on the
that
road-
Flesh of Marble is fucking OP. And that option is certainly open before you.
I know I want flesh of marble.
Okay, so I'm just gonna write down that that's your level 6 option, and I'm writing down a 75 spent. Werewolves look at the wolf-shaped creature before them. It raises to its full height, turns into a man. Werewolf takes a swing. It does nothing. Werewolf shits its pants.
Yeah.
Besides Prothean, I feel like I'd have a lot of fortitude. I seem like a... I believe I want...
Keep in mind that if you spend blood on it, it's essentially automatic soak versus everything. So how much do you want? Keep in mind you do have abilities you want to get really good at still, and potentially out of clan powers.
Fair. Probably fortitude 4 then.
Okay, so 30 XP for that. Animalism, how far? 1, 2?
3 is quelling. Yeah, I can't remember fucking what animalism is, and nobody fucking uses it almost.
1 is talking to animals. 2
animals,
is calling animals. 3 is calling the beast. Level 6 is talking to a whole group of animals at once. So you could just summon a group and give all of them command at once. That's when it gets good again. Until then, it sucks.
Plus 30 from getting fortitude to 4?
Yes. So 105 total right now.
Yep.
I feel like it have animalism up to 3.
Okay, that's another 15. I do think... I mean, Auspex is always good, but with your build, I think Presence is the one out of clan you might have up to 2, but I doubt... Unless you had Presence to 4, which makes some sense, but less so. I think Presence 2 makes sense, and then the rest into abilities, honestly.
Yeah.
So, Presence 2 would be 17, which leaves you with another 63 to spend on various things. If you do want to avoid conflict, I suggest spending 5 on getting Intimidation to 2. At that point you have 8 in rolling Presence 2, and that's pretty decent.
Yep.
You want to do that?
Yep. I probably learn how to intimidate my way, just if nothing, just to avoid conflict.
Well, and then we have the various other things which you might want to get. I think you wanted to get intelligence, appearance, and you probably want some expression and performance.
I feel... Should intelligence be a 2, get a 2 or a 3? I'm leaning towards a 3.
Keep in mind that you also have the secondary clan lores.
I know. I'll just get a... I'll just keep with intelligence 2 and appearance 2, so I'll just up them up by 1.
So that's a total of 8 for each. So that puts you at 150.
At exactly 150. Yep, exactly.
Okay, so next up. So I'd have got my occult up, definitely.
You probably have like at 3 at the base minimum, probably a 4, honestly.
Yeah, I'd go for a 4.
So that's another plus 12.
Okay, so going from the 12, I guess I'll put that in other traits, the gangrel lore thing.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd probably be pretty good at it, and I'm thinking as well as a 4. How does the experience go for there now?
The first
2
level
for
is
the
2.
first dot.
Yeah, so 2, 3, 5, 8 total. To take it to 4.
So 8 experience to get it to 4?
Yes, it's cheaper because it's a secondary skill.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, I'll do that, definitely.
That puts us at 170. Keep in mind, you don't... The discipline thing, certainly, you can take that back and put it somewhere else if you decide you're not willing to invest that much into animalism.
Quill the Beast is good.
Yes, but they are mostly manipulation rolls. is the problem.
True, but it's at least I'm using from references. I'm not sure how it's in the book, but you could roll a manipulation empathy if suiting it into complacency.
Yes.
Which I feel like I would do.
You could. I'm just saying it's not what you're best built for.
I know. So after Gangrel Lore, I think it was. Did we say it was going to be an expression or a performance thing for the ballads to actually, compose?
I'd say either or, but I think performance fits better, and it also ties into your present, so I would say take performance.
Okay, so let's get first performance 4, since I feel like
that's another 6. You have another 24 left. So, composing is as good a name for it as any.
I think I'd get that to 3. I think I'd be good at 3. Not the best, but not the worst. Pretty.
I mean, you're naturally charismatic, and I'd say given how experienced you are in telling the tales, I would let you use charisma for composing. So you are gonna be pretty good. So that would be a total of 5 by my count, which takes us to 181.
So composing is how much XP so I can write down?
5 total.
Okay. Next, besides that, probably get. I'm thinking of actually, I wanted to get some animal ken, sort of just experience-wise.
Okay, how much?
2.
Okay, that's another 5 then. Plus 5, 14 XP left.
I'm not sure actually. I feel like with all the traveling, and we did say that I would have stayed in some port life. I feel like my character would have either 1 or 2 etiquette. What do you guys think?
Maybe 1 at best, maybe.
Yeah, given that you're a gangrel, you might have baked it. You don't have eidetic memory either, so like with your charisma you would know how to get along, and people wouldn't expect you to be that polished. You wouldn't be forced to get it, so you don't have to have it. You could have easily gotten. You would have gotten it if you had chosen to make an effort to learn it. That's it.
Fair. That's actually fair. I'd probably go with my natural charisma then, and not actually give a point, since most people seem to get with me anyways.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't actually be learning it. So besides that, possibly upping Brawl to 3, mostly for a sort of survival thing, and since I did do some fights with the Sabat, I feel like I might get the Brawl up to 3.
Okay, plus 4 for Brawl 3. That leaves you 10 points.
10 points. Okay.
I would... Yeah, this is where it gets tough.
Yeah.
Well...
Possibly doing investigation 2. That's...
Investigation 2 and potentially Occult 5. And that would round you out pretty nicely, I think, because you have traveled a lot gathering these tales.
Yeah, let's do that then. So,
Alright, you're done on the XP then.
Yep. Keegan, I think I won't inflict you as a neonate on them. That sounds cruel.
I can deal with it.
Let's not. It'll get weird if we keep having a fuck ton of random neonates pop in. Okay, so that leaves your backgrounds.
Let me just put generation.
Yeah, you have generation, you have a couple of freebies left over. You do have, just for your range, 1 point of status, just flat out, because there's no way people can entirely ignore you, no matter how much they want you. Okay?
Yeah, let me just count out the freebies so I know how much I got.
You had 2 left over.
Yeah, 2 left over, that's good.
Unless you take flaws.
Nah. So domain. I did say I want a big domain.
If you take 5 points of domain, this city park next to Saint Bernard, where one of the cative has, or one of the independents has claimed position, you could just have that entire thing as your place. You could just own it.
Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, so that's my free backgrounds off. So I have 2 left actually to spend on backgrounds.
You can take several things. You can take a library of essentially kindred lore. It wouldn't have rituals, it would be more focused on actual lore and stories and historical events. You could take land status.
It's an actual library.
Yeah, but actually here's the question though, where would I actually keep that?
You could probably how many dots of alternate identity to cover up you're on the red list if you stick to remote cities? Maxi, people would find you. They would just send another Malk with clairvoyance after you. They would track you. It would help, but they would track you anyway.
Oh, that was Jaxie speaking. I thought you were actually giving me the idea to get red list.
That's probably a bad idea.
Totally.
I mean, if you want to take Blood Hunted in one of the
No.
neighboring cities, because having traveled a lot, you might have pissed one prince off somewhere, you can take that. It would be just that one city hating you. You slept with my Ventru child? She is just 30 years old! How dare you! Wait, what?
Yeah, that sounds like me. I'm taking that.
Jesus Christ!
Is that also the backstory to it? You win and...
Showed her the joys of sharing blood and certain experiences with the Ventru child of the prince.
I go up to the Venture girl. Hey girl, do you know why they call gangrels beasts? I'm gonna show you tonight.
And somehow you have enough charisma to make that shitty line work with your enchanting voice. Holy crap. It would be a base difficulty of 9 with that line with the Ventru. But with 9 dice and enchanting voice, he can make a diff 7 roll on that.
Fucking kidding me.
Let's just say she was experimental that night. I think that fits better.
No, you know, she had a good reputation, and the prince is mainly pissed because you ruined that reputation by getting away doing that. Okay.
So how much was the blood hunted from another city?
I
4.
think it was either 4 or 3, but yeah, those seeking the favor of that prince will be coming to look for you, I think.
It's 4 for the city thing. It's 6
yeah.
if it's, you know, all of the sect.
Yeah.
So I have 6. So with this, I feel like if I wanted a library somewhere, I then should have some resources, right? Probably just money somewhere.
You could.
Probably.
I mean, you could potentially have a child and just be chilling with them. 2 points of retainer will buy you a semi-fresh neonate. Of your, you know, if you wish. But if you take like 2 points of resource, you can afford a house somewhere. It won't necessarily be in the center of the city where your domain is, but I mean, given you would have been able to get the help of someone else to acquire it. So potentially, let me take a look at what the other clanmates have. You could have just stolen it from...
Jackalore.
Well, no, not Jackalore, but from one of the Sabbat dudes that had a haven of his own. You could have just seized it as spoils of battle along with his domain.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
So if you have like 2 points of resource, you can maintain residence next to the park.
Yeah, I would take 2 points of resources. So 4 points left. Probably would then... How much would a 2-point library then for the lores be? Like, is that...
That's another 2 points of background. It would count as an occult library. Yours would just be more focused on historical stuff.
It'll
They'll
take.
decrease difficulty and stuff if you have time to go and look at it.
I think it just gave extra dice, but it would. The important
I
part
think
is that it's a trade good that you can give others access to. That's the most
Yeah.
beneficial thing.
Yeah, and I totally do it. So yeah, I get 2 points of library.
Okay.
And with the last 2 points, I think I'll just up my normal status up to 3.
Yeah. And I will be giving you clan status 3 as well, I think.
Yeah.
Well, should it be clan status 3 or clan status 2 and 1 extra status? Because he has traveled a lot and he's old, even if he's kept to himself.
I feel like the clan status makes more sense than giving him the other dot of status.
Yeah, let's go with that. Just clan status 3. The two local gangrel are in awe of you. The one that, was in the thick of fighting's like, no brah, you're primogen. There isn't even any friction. They're just like, lead us, glorious leader, we are ready. You'll notice that I placed the gangrel symbol above the thing. I will now Halfdan Bergdahl.
Well, we said Bergdahl. Little mission said Perrydahl. Perrydahl.
Because Jackalor's an idiot.
I don't think Berg.
Fuck you. This is an American
It's
colony.
Bergdahl.
They will not pronounce it
Well, fair enough.
properly.
It is now
City
Berg.
Park. You have now been entered into the lists of confirmed unassailable domains.
Yay. Also, I actually forgot about this. I actually on the other ones, since we are learning multiple languages, are we splitting points in that, or
No, we're just doing that as part of the
that
stuff.
will be part of next week's thing. You will all have, given how old you are, like 3 or 4 languages on top of modern English. You will just have
Okay.
them. So you might have like Scandinavian, or Old Scandinavian, Old German, Old English,
Wouldn't really be old Scandinavian. It would be Swedish.
or Swedish, whatever.
shut up, Jack, over?
Like an older version of Swedish. It's whatever. And probably like one of the more common Native American languages that the local gangrel spoke before they came over, like Mayan or something for you. But we'll determine that next time. And I think that's everything for you. And we can take
Yeah.
another quick break and then we can head on to Bacon, our glorious prince.